Hi, my name is Sam McGrath,
And I'm Logan Disher.
and today we will be explaining how causal attribution and goal orientation theory relate to motivation and how they can help you or someone you know with any struggles in motivation.
We're going to begin by discussing causal attribution theory. Causal attribution refers to the reasons that people can give to themselves or to others to explain the outcome of a phenomena or an event or a circumstance that they find themselves in. These reasons can be measured and placed along several different continua, including internal or external, stable or unstable, and controllable or uncontrollable.
So with internal and external, this refers to where the responsibility lies in something. If it's internal, then it's something within the person. It's their ability, their effort, their mood. These are the things that matter when completing a task or goal in motivation. However, sometimes it could be external, which is something within the environment. This could be luck or the difficulty of the task. This can make it a lot more hard to be motivated.
Stable and unstable, this refers to the consistency or variability um, of effort, as well as the relative expectancy of success that you expect out of an effort. A stable a stable attribution applies to a consistent application of effort, um, either positive or negative, doing something or not doing it, but continuously doing it, as opposed to an unstable application of effort, which is very variable. It's whether it's a change in effort.
And then there's controllable or uncontrollable. This can refer to the extent of perceived influence over an outcome. If something feels controllable, it's something that someone is confident that they can, directly influence or navigate. This is something that seems feasible or something that seems more tangible than an uncontrollable one where there's not as much influence and you really feel like you're just fighting luck, which once again, just like an external force, can really be hard to have motivation for.
So here we have a simple model of attribution. A perceived success or failure as an event. Um, that perception leads to these elements of attribution. The locus simply being the internal or external, where it originated from, stability, and then control. And then those three elements comprise the attributions themselves. We attribute it to our ability, the effort we put in, sheer luck, or the difficulty of the task at hand.
Now, you may be wondering, now, how does causal attribution actually work in real world events? So we've compiled two strategies and methods that could be used to help potential learners with their success or failure and motivation with it. The first of which is to make the cause internal rather than external. Perception is big when it comes to causal attribution theory. Sometimes we view things as out of our favor when we have more control over them, or not more control, but more, drive over them than we thought. So, if you drive success through intentionally applied effort and do all you can to eliminate luck as a factor, then you can actually find yourself more successful and more motivated to complete a task. A key use of the field of this for me personally was when my cousin was struggling to maintain progress on her weight loss journey. And she was saying that the workouts were too hard, they were too demanding, and making it an external issue. For this, it comes down to simply helping her by pushing her to just put in those extra hours. While these workouts may be hard and difficult, these are still internal effects that she has to push past and have the more so willpower to fight. So just by changing her perspective to make her realize that this is something that she can control a bit better is always, going to help her. Along with this, I told her diet and eating habits need to change. And through this, she has felt more motivated to continue on her weight loss journey.
Another strategy to use is to develop a greater sense of control over a situation. Feelings of control or lack thereof can influence an outcome in a situation. Therefore, increasing that personal feeling of control can drive you towards success. A use in the field is that a very good friend of mine struggled with a rigorous preset weekly schedule, 5 days a week, 2 hours a day, um, away from home to learn a difficult and complicated series of lines for a performance, while also having to care for a sick relative at home. In order to help him gain a better sense of control over that situation so that he would feel more motivated, we organized a simpler and less demanding at home schedule. So he was able to remain in the home to care for his relative. He was only pushing for, I believe it was 3 days, only about an hour a day to learn these lines. And through that increased sense of control and that comfort in the situation, he was able to put forward his best and actually begin to achieve success in his learning.
So the theory versus the reality of these two strategies really told us how much theory can really go. For mine, with the causal attribution of internal versus external, the theory was established by Wiener in 1992, and it did lay out a case where the cause comes from and can affect the motivation had. Um, so once my cousin started thinking of this as an internal cause and where the cause came from, her work ethic and motivation did increase. So the theory was real close with reality that perception is huge in how one is motivated.
Following up on that, Wiener's theory does lay out that controllable attributions such as effort are directly linked to success or failure. Um, in my own example, is giving my friend that sense of control over his schedule and his surroundings enhance his belief in his ability to succeed. And that belief has since allowed him to put forth more effort and is thus leading him towards success and motivation.
As we go into goal orientation theory, I just want to make it clear again that these types of things can be done in your own life. If you're struggling with something, maybe you need to change your perspective on it. Or if it seems like, it's against you and that outside factors are pushing up against it, try to find a way to make these outside factors and control uh, bigger and less important. Try to find ways to make it so that you have more control over a situation.
So, goal orientation theory aims to explain why someone participates in a task. There are two main reasons that are given in the theory. And those two reasons are that a person wants to show that they are competent or they want to grow their level of confidence. Um, there are different they are different from the goals themselves that a person sets. This theory purely puts forth why people develop these goals. And these are the two reasons. And there are several combinations and subsets as to why these are.
So there are four major types of goals. There is the mastery approach, mastery avoidance, performance approach, and performance avoidance. The mastery approach is when a person simply wants to grow their competency or learning for themselves. They aren't really doing this for anyone else. They're not doing it for any gain. It's more of an intrinsic gain than anything. It's something that they are passionate about and want to get better at.
Whereas a mastery avoidance, on the other hand, is someone is putting forth effort to not fail. They are gaining this skill purely for the matter of they do not want to not have this skill. A prime example here in a classroom would be a student who is studying the quadratic formula just to ensure that they don't misunderstand the formula and its possible applications.
Performance approach. These goals are focused much more on how others view you. These are type of goals people have most often, really, to show that they are capable to others, that they are competent in an area, uh, that they are successful. Um, it's a way of seeking validation, really. So people will make goals with this mindset in mind. And the reason I use this football image as an example is because while people do play sports for the love of it, they do love the cheering. So that is definitely an example of a performance approach.
And on the other side of that is the performance avoidance goal orientation. These goals are also made with other people's perception in mind, but these are now keyed in on one's self image, uh, being seen in a non-negative light. You do not want to be seen as incompetent. You don't want to be seen as foolish. The main reason for for setting these goals or for doing something out of a performance avoidance orientation is to not look uninformed or unskilled. It can be driving, but there is also some connection to mental health issues such as anxiety or depression.
Great points. And this is how goals separate from goal orientation, but they do tie together based on this because the performance based are goals that are given into by how people want to be perceived by others. You know, this is how you want to show your competency, and that explains why people establish goals. The mastery, same way. It explains why people want to establish goals simply because they want to be better at something, you know? I think a lot of people just simply want to be better sometimes.
So there are several strategies, once again, using goal orientation to increase a person's motivation. There are two that we have here listed as well. The first of which is that a good friend of mine is currently aiming to receive her master's degree in May. However, she is overwhelmed. Her class load has gotten bigger and heavier over the last couple of years. And in order to help her stay on track, uh, we have come up with the goal of dividing large goals into smaller ones. When creating a long term goal, it is important to divide this goal into proximal goals. It makes the work seem more manageable, easier to carry. So I sat down with her and we looked at her calendar on a week by week basis to complete or to create a proximal goal on the workload that needs to be done on each individual week to get her classes done.
Additionally, you can enhance goals specificity to increase success. This is something that can be very important as a teacher for students, even. When you're establishing a goal for yourself or for someone else, it should be tangible and graspable. Um, I think this is something that we don't do enough. Usually we'll say something like, well, I want to get in better shape. Well, how do you want to get in better shape? So it's important to do that. So for the use and field that I had was my brother has been struggling to finish school. And he simply just set the goal, I want to finish school. And that's not enough. So I told him, well, the goal should be in a more specific way. I would like to get my engineering certificate by the end of 2025 within the top 10% of my class. This sets a more, established goal for him.
So the theory versus reality of both of these. The research conducted by Bandura and Shunk in 1981 uh, it tested this idea of these proximal goals. And following that research, it did relieve some of the pressure and stress off of my friend on hunt for her master's degree. However, it has yet to affect her understanding or mastery of her chosen subject, her biology degree, as it did for the third graders that they tested this on.
As for me, I have noticed that my brother's performance and drive to continue has improved greatly, just as the theory has test done in the 1990s by Locke and Latham.
So the importance of this theory is that these major type of goals and knowing them can be significant in helping somebody create a better and more developed goal. As we tested the strategies, we witnessed how the theories established by those theorists had slightly different outcomes for us than it did for them.
Yes, it's important to note that goal orientation theory is rare in the regular real world, and that's why goals are more often used. What has been learned? I have learned motivation comes from being from different for everybody. Everyone needs a different approach, and it's why we have multiple motivational theories.
As for myself, I've learned that the big factor in motivation is perspective. how you view a situation, and certain factors may